Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Tayna here with another video. This is part 2 of the mental health discussion. Let's get straight into it.
What was the hardest part, and how did you pull yourself out from it?
I feel like my worst times was definitely like my first year at Elam.
Okay.
Was when I got to like the worst, darkest place. I was just like, I just wasn't here for it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that sounds silly, but genuinely, I was just like, this life thing's long, you know, like, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. Like, it's actually too much. And because I had, like, just everything that I'd gone through, I'd never spoken about. And it was just all, like, what we've spoken about with you was, like, I was always building things up in my head. Yeah. And also, the first, like, counselling is great. It's amazing. And it saved me. I will say that all the time, but the first few sessions were so difficult. It was so draining. It, like, you know, stripped you bare. Those first few sessions, I was like, I can't do that. Like, I was literally like, I can't do this. I actually cannot do this.
What are you trying to do to me?
No, literally, I thought you gave me better. Like, I thought you're supposed to make me better, and this is like making me worse.
Do you
like,
know what you're doing?
literally,
you are messing me up right now.
No, I'm actually at the beginning. I was like, my counsellor, like, where did she get her degree? Like, what's going on? Because
start Googling
it. Literally had to do a background check, and I just remember being like at home, and I just didn't want to do any. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I didn't want to go to college. I just didn't. Everything just seemed pointless, and I was just like, do you know what I mean? You just get to that point where you're just like, I don't know. Where do we go? Like, I don't know. Like, I actually don't. What made me like, okay, now you have to get it together, was my family. And like JJ, I always thought of JJ because I was like, if he was to deal with this, like, I would want to be there to let him know I've been through it and I made it on the other side. Do you know what I mean? And I would want to be able to let him know, nah, it's cool, like, and be able to be a role model for other people. And that's what made me like, okay, nah, Tayna, you need to get it together. And then I continued the counselling, and as much as those first 3 sessions like pulled it out of me, it was like there was a turning point. And it was like, okay, this makes sense. And she was really understanding me, and it was just like so many things that I'd unpacked from my childhood, and like, you know, things that you don't even realize affect you, that I was like, oh, okay, so this is what I'm dealing with, and this is, you know, how I can fix this. It wasn't even just counselling. I think I opened up a lot to my friends at college, because at college I would have my counselling session and then I'd have to go to a lesson. That was mad. Like, that was mad. I was not in a place to have a lesson. Like, I had just realised, you want, sorry, huh? Fifths, major third, nah, I'm good. Like, I had just realised, oh my gosh, this happened in my childhood and I'm broken from it, and you want me to learn music theory? Like, that's a bit mad. I had a lot. I'm so sorry to my friends. I had so many breakdowns, and talking to them really helped me as well, because I was like, okay, I could say anything to them. Like, they knew when I was at the darkest place, when I was like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. They knew. So I knew there was no way I could actually do anything, because they knew. Do you know what I mean? They knew what was going on, and I had like the best support network that I could possibly ask for. Having you just literally saved me. It sounds so cheesy, but I could have my breakdowns in the toilet and then be like, all right, let's do this. Like, you know, you still got to get your career. You still want to be this person to have a voice, so we've got to keep going. And you guys really, really helped me with that. So I think it's your people.
Yeah, definitely. We support each other. We heal together. We hurt together. Like, and not even just with our friends, like, as what we're going through now as a globe, you're seeing
exactly.
That, like, anyway, for me, I think the darkest time was, I remember it vividly, I was in the studio, and by this time I had my publishing deal. I had a studio in a block with all these different producers. It was fantastic, but I felt like I had nothing else. Like, I was mad depressed these days. I was drinking like a litre of vodka a day. The alcoholism was way out. Do you know what I mean? I was taking a lot of drugs. And it becomes so much part of my personality that people knew that I was pushing the limit, but it was just Wes. Like, it wasn't easy for me. And I remember I was laying in the studio. It was late. I was staying there. I was laying on the couch watching something or other on the screen after finishing the session, And the feeling of loneliness just came over me so hard, and I was like, I've got everything that I wanted when I was younger, but man, this is lonely. And it felt so empty. And I had money in my bank account, and I decided, I was like, okay, that's it, I'm just going to buy enough drink to do the job, and I'm out. And then I remember I ended up passing out, and the next day I woke up and you came to my mind first, and I was like, nah, that was the light switch moment where I was like, no, I need to do something about this, because what I realised in that moment is a big part of stuff that I had struggled with was down to my relationship with my dad. If I had taken that way out, which I wouldn't say is the easy way out, because
It's definitely
there's nothing
not.
easy about feeling like that.
No,
Like,
not at
there's
all.
nothing easy about making a decision that this life is done and I'm gonna, you know, exit stage left. Like, but then I knew all I was gonna be doing then is passing all of my shit onto you and saying, yeah, go for it. Like, I couldn't do it, but you
can.
you go ahead.
You give it a try.
Like, out of nowhere, I remembered I'm a dad. Like, and that really did like save me. That I'd felt like that before, and I'd even tried stuff before, but thank God, always something mad
Got in the
happened
way.
something miraculous got in the way. And by that time I was adamant, because I was like, I was even like, it won't be that night, I'll do it the next day. Do you know what I mean? I'll just buy bare alcohol and just be like, yeah, you guys can just find me in the studio. I'll go out like a rock star. Peace out.
It's rock and roll, baby.
So that was the start of a real dark period. And then I was like, okay, I came home, I spoke to my mum, I was like, yo, I need help, this is what's happening, and I can't do that, I need to turn it around. And then how hard it was to get help, that felt so dark.
Yeah.
Like, I went AA a couple of times, and the first time I went, I was like, this is amazing. I feel like this is gonna be a winner.
Help you,
and also it was about the 12 steps and about understanding that there's a higher power. And it was just so I grew up on that. I grew up in church. I had a relationship with God all the way through this. But then on my third meeting, I had a mad panic attack and I had to leave. Everyone has their own process, and I'm not knocking the process of AA at all, because it helps millions of people. But for me personally, what made me have the panic attack is people had been going for like 28 years and still calling themselves an alcoholic. I don't want to still be in that position where I need to introduce myself like that. I want to beat this thing. I want to, you know what I mean? I'm going to get this thing in the head that I can deal with it.
Yeah.
I felt so alone in it. I was like, wow, this is the one thing that I thought was going to help me. And I realised that this is...
It's not what you thought it was.
Yeah, that was real dark. But I just was like, okay, God, it's me and you, innit?
Yeah.
Like, so let's go. One of the withdrawals from alcohol is insomnia. I think it was that night or the next night, I couldn't sleep, and I just typed sleep videos into YouTube, and then I put some random one on, and I had the best night's sleep that I'd had in ages. And then from there, I started to find out about sound therapy and meditation, and I started going on a journey of self-help. Like, the thing is, because it's sound and I'm a producer, it made sense. Yeah, and that's really how I clawed myself back out. The thing that I missed out was the counselling. Like you saw, I lost loads of weight. I became super like focused. My music was sounding great. When I started to get into meditation, I realised what was missing is I wasn't allowing myself to confront these things, even in my mind. So I was pushing it all down, and then that just becomes depression. Like all of the stuff that I was pushing down, I thought I was pushing it down inside, but I was pushing it down on top of me, and then I became like depressed. The thing that I think was missing with the counselling is because on my own, just through meditation, prayer and using sound therapy, I was able to forgive myself a lot, and I felt love on my own in a way that I'd never experienced before. Do you know what I mean? And when I finally got to the point where I could generate that love in my heart just by focusing on beautiful things and being able to forgive myself, the weight of it all left, which was brilliant. But without the counselling, I just kept going up and up and up till the energy levels that I was getting were started to become overwhelming. Like, and I would have conversations about consciousness and all of this stuff with people, and I knew I was peaking.
Pushing it,
But I think if I had the counselling, then it would have been a bit of a slower release.
The conversations would have been so different
Yeah.
because the people that you were talking to aren't trained to respond.
Yeah, I was never diagnosed with bipolar, but this was bipolar without the low and only the high. Do you know what I mean? I was just so used to being depressed and down. So when all of that went, I was just free, and I was physically lighter, mentally lighter. And I just didn't know how to bring it back down. I didn't know how to calm down, basically. So and then I got to that point where I had the psychotic break, and I remember everything so clearly, but at the time I couldn't remember what I said 2 seconds ago. So I reckon it took between 8 and 10 months to really unwind it all and be back into a place where it's like, okay, now I'm doing my weight loss journey, I'm still meditating, still using sound therapy, but now it's at a pace that is more sustainable. That just wasn't sustainable.
The next question is, when you recognise a feeling reoccurring which led you to a dark place previously, how do you combat that best so you don't go back?
I have like a process in my head because using the tools that I used to not be where I was, the whole thing doesn't just disappear.
No.
You learn patterns in it, and it takes a while to retrain our subconscious out of them patterns.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I still have days where I'll wake up and I'll have that feeling of anxiety or just a bit low. Sometimes I'll sit in it for a while. Sometimes I'll act straight away. Recognizing it and being able to observe it and not always just be totally in it. What I mean by that is
like you're aware, basically,
I'm aware.
that you're in it.
I can have this emotion, and rather than just being down or being a dick to people, I'll recognize it and say, oh, hello, my old nemesis.
we meet again. You're trying to take me down?
Yeah, not today.
Oh, hell no. Not today.
I recognize it, and then I have a couple of options. I can call someone, I'll speak to my mum, or I'll speak to you. Okay, I'll pray this morning and go and meditate, sit on the balcony where we are now and have a little 30 minutes, 20 minutes meditation. Eat healthy. I'll have something good for me in the morning. That helps me get out of it. Yeah. And that process is what I kind of go through, and I know that works, and I know that gets me out of it. The only question is how long am I gonna stay in this point before I actually move and do them steps? Because sometimes it's straight away.
Sometimes you know what you have to do, but you don't want to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I know what to do. I will do it later. At the moment,
I'm just going to be in it. Yeah. It's okay to feel the emotions. Yeah. My counsellor always would say that you can't just feel happiness. Yeah. You can't just feel one emotion. Yeah. You can't ignore the others either. Yeah. It's just about the amount and how much you let them control you and what you do. So it's okay to feel the sadness, the fear, the anxiety because sometimes it's actually letting you know something. Yeah. It's letting you know, oh, you might not want to do that. Yeah. Or do you know what I mean? This might not be good for you. Important to still allow yourself to feel those things, but then not let that feeling dictate putting you into a bad place.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not sometimes, it's always real circumstances that end up being in that place, but sometimes you can't change them circumstances. Like for me, a big one was loneliness. Like I still would be on my own sometimes now. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll wake up, no one's home. Or I'm working and I'm just like on my own, I haven't spoken to no one for a few days, and you get that feeling like, knowing that I've got the tools, it's just like, okay, I'm not burying that feeling, so I'm going to acknowledge that feeling because I am still on my own. So I have to acknowledge it, because if you don't, then you're back at square one, burying stuff down.
Denial.
The thing that I work on daily is, when do I intercept this feeling and do the steps to take me out of it. Do you know what I mean? So
last question that we're going to answer, we actually got quite a lot, like I'm surprised.
Thanks for everyone.
Honestly, thank you for asking us questions.
It's important that we all talk about this. Like nowadays the conversation's more open and it's more public, and we've seen people struggle with it in the public eye. It's important to talk about it, because now the feelings that I had in the early days, where I was like, oh, I feel too anxious to leave the house, let me make up an excuse. I no longer have to do that. I can say, listen, I'm struggling this week. I'm going to get through it, don't worry, but I just wanted to let you know. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for being a part of the conversation.
100%.
I think off the back of that, people should research, find your local minds, find your local counsellors, reach out to your GP.
Reach out to a friend.
Yeah, reach out to a friend 100%.
100%.
And please reach out to people if you need to. Talk to someone. And the thing is, you have to be persistent because not everyone gets it. Some people think depression is sadness. So we've lost too many great people. Everyone's great. Everyone deserves love. So we need to talk and be honest and persevere because you're worth it and your life is worth it and 100%. Your mental health is worth it.
So I'll just add to that, treat yourself how you would treat someone you love experiencing that. Like, you know, you would go to the end of the earth if you knew someone was in danger or feeling some type of way and you knew they weren't where they should be. You need to give yourself that same amount of love because if anyone else deserves it, so do you. So like, yeah, you are the most important person.
She gets me all the time when I do shit like that. Alright, it's all going. It's all going.
We need to wrap this up.
So it's important that you love yourself.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Alright, so last question is, what are your ways of coping with anxiety at a time like this? I know that anxiety is like at an all-time high right now.
And when we say a time like this, obviously we're talking about the global
current
pandemic
situation. We can't even say it because YouTube will.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I'll bleep myself. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
People's mental health is going to be tested in this time. A lot of people are isolated and on their own or just with the same couple of people. We're used to going out and
your
doing
normal
stuff.
routine is completely disrupted.
Yeah. Look, all of the kind of coping techniques for a lot of people have just been stripped away.
Literally.
Like, sports have gone.
Yeah.
Concerts have gone.
Education.
Pubs have gone. Schools are closed.
Like,
anywhere that you normally blow off steam, you know, be able to be energetic and enjoy yourself, let out some emotion, let out some
yeah, and be silly and, you know.
All of that's gone. So,
that's dark. It's all gone.
Because of my mental health situation in the past, I've had so much time on my personal anxiety has gone down because I'm like, you talking earlier about when do you intervene? Well, I'm not intervening anymore. I'm preemptively being on my shit.
Yeah.
You know, what's going on in the world has just been the motivation for me to be on the top of my game. But a lot of people, even people that never struggled with any kind of mental illness, they're going to be struggling with anxiety right now because obviously that you hear on the news every day people are dying. You know,
it's
that
intense.
People have it. You might have gone. You might have lost someone that's had it. Like, I think the coping mechanisms that are helpful now is stuff like meditation. It's stuff like sound therapy because you can do that in your yard, innit? And you don't have to go and see someone else to do that. This is scientifically proven to be able to give our subconscious and our brains time to process stuff. Like when you close your eyes, when you use your breathing, you can be anywhere. You're no longer just stuck in your house. You're wherever your imagination can take you. Having fun, like, as we mentioned earlier, we use humour as a family all the time, and being able to have fun even in the worst times. Like I've been homeless like 3 times. We were homeless when you was younger. I was homeless with my mum when I was younger.
Me and mummy were almost homeless.
Yeah, and every step through, there was always stuff that was funny. It's just whether you want to acknowledge it and laugh about it.
Or stay in that. This is exactly a thing of like staying in your emotion of where you are. Or you can come out of it and realise that's actually funny. Like, let's laugh about that because that was funny. Sometimes you get so in like an emotional situation that you miss like some things in life.
Also, like, don't watch the news every day. Like, we know what's going on at the moment.
Like, we actually get it.
Stay up to date. So you're safe and you know what the current regulations and restrictions are. When this first was happening, I was like glued to the news. I watched a little update for a couple of minutes and see if they're telling us anything new and just keep it moving. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And have fun with your family. Like the other day, I know my mum wouldn't mind me saying that she was clearly having a bit of an anxious day.
Oh yeah,
and I was frustrated. And she actually said it. She's like, "This is a bit. I'm struggling a bit here, guys." And then Tayna was like, "Okay, cool. And let's play a game tonight." And we played just one silly little board game, but it was hilarious, and we were all like belly laughing and couldn't breathe. You're gonna pass out, you can't catch your breath, kind of laughing, and that was the release that we all needed.
Yeah.
And just try not to be on your phone all the time. Too.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
I feel like an old man telling the young kids, "You're on your phone." But like, you have to put it down and spend time with the people that you're with, and if you're on your own, just be reaching out to people. That's when the technology comes in handy, and you use it rather than letting it just use
take
you.
over.
Yeah.
I'm having a Zoom party tonight. Like, honestly, this is why I'm dressed up. It's not for this video, it's for my Zoom party.
I think the best advice is to just be proactive in making sure that you're not allowing yourself to get too down.
Oh yeah,
Because
100%.
what's happening right now is never been seen before in our lifetimes or generation.
Yeah.
And is a real big thing to deal with. So being honest about it, talking to people about it, that's how we cope as well.
100%.
But yeah, try and get into a routine where you're able to blow off steam as well.
Definitely. So don't pressure yourself. Like, I think, because I know like a lot of creative people will probably be watching this, and I think it's really important not to pressure yourself to create something incredible or, you know, like the best thing you've ever done. Like that, I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm starting to work out, I'm going to be in the best shape ever after this, I'm going to be a chef, and it's like, yeah, we've got so much time to like do things that we didn't have time to do before, but it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you need to be making the best thing you've ever made. Like, you don't need to put that pressure on yourself. Don't pressure yourself to try and, you know, do things because, oh, you think it will look good, or you think, you know, it will sound good on Instagram. Like, yeah, when you start doing what you're passionate about, everything else just fades away, I think, and it helps you just get to that reality of doing what you enjoy.
Yeah. Shout out to our sponsor for this video.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Honestly, even if this video only helps one person, like, we would have done what we wanted to do 100%. And if you ever need anything, if you know us or anything, like, reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. It's really important to just love unconditionally and to always put that first beyond your own pride and ego, and accept people for who they are. So yeah, I hope that this video helped, and
we'll leave a couple of links to some mental health organisations if you're struggling in this time.
Obviously, stay safe, stay happy, stay blessed, and we'll see you in the next video.